Hey guys, it's Ty and welcome back to my channel. So today we are going to be doing another recent reads, and let me just say, in the month of February, I had so many plans. I had so many things that I wanted to read, and none of that happened. None of it. Like, the month just got away from me. And then the last week of February, I got sick, or like sort of sick. Like, my body was trying to get sick, but I was trying not to let it get sick. And so for the first half of that last week, I was just so exhausted. Like, I was literally going to work, coming home, and going to sleep and just repeating it over and over. Yeah, I don't know what that was. And then miraculously, in the middle of the week, I was better. Thank goodness. I don't know what happened to me, but that also hindered how much I was going to be able to read. I also had all of these plans to like get ahead on my arcs. That did not happen. I am behind on my arcs. That's a story for a different day. Even though I only have 8 books to share with you guys, 2 of those are 5 stars. So a win is a win, okay? A win is a win. Unfortunately, we are going to start with my one DNF that I had. So we're going to go ahead and get started. So the book that I unfortunately had to DNF is The Getaway by Lamar Giles. I think it's Giles. Giles? I DNF'd this one. This is a YA dystopian. I listened to this on audio. Maybe I should have read it physically. I'm not sure. But this one, I really struggled with the story. So in this one, we're following our main character, Jay. Jay and his family and like his group of friends, they live on this resort called Karloff Country. And in the world around this resort, the world is like falling apart. There's famine, food shortages, the weather's all jacked up, things are happening. And on Karloff Country, it's like a utopia. Everything is right. Everything that you could possibly want or need is in this like little community. So we're following Jay, and one day, one of his friends, Connie, her and her family just abruptly leave in the middle of the night, and Jay and his friends are like, oh no, what happened? Why did they leave? One of the friends finds out that other families have left in the middle of the night. They're trying to figure out what happened to their family, and then through some events that take place, everybody in Karloff Country can no longer leave, and nobody really knows like what's going on in the outside world. All of that sounds like something that I should have enjoyed, but for whatever reason, I just could not get pulled into this story, and I tried so hard. I got to chapter 23, which is 184 pages in. It took me weeks. Well, not weeks. It took me like a week to get through the audiobook. And like anytime I stopped listening, I never really wanted to pick it back up. I want to say at the point that I stopped, the story started picking up a little bit, but it also started to get a little confusing. So at that point that I stopped, we were starting to like go back in time, and I would get kind of confused on where we were in the story. And then because I was listening to this on audio, they did use different narrators, but some of the narrators, especially like the male voice actors, they were narrating 2 of the male characters. And so one of the characters, it would say their name at the beginning of the chapter. The other character, it doesn't say their name at the beginning of the chapter. So if you're not paying attention 100%, you can miss it and not really realize that you've switched perspectives. I don't know, like the story was kind of all over the place at some points. I don't know, something about this it just didn't work for me. Now, I've seen a lot of good reviews for this one. If it sounds good, by all means, check it out. It's probably just a me thing, but I just could not get into the story. Moving on from my DNFs, we're gonna move into my 3-star reads. The first one that I have here is Boomtown by Nick Stone. This is a very adult fiction with a little bit of mystery. I know this author by writing young adult books, specifically Dear Martin and Dear Justice. Those are older books, but I'm sure everybody has probably at least heard of those books at some point. So I was a little bit shocked that this author decided to write this sort of book after writing those, which is not a problem. I wanted to pick it up because I was so curious. But it says that it's Gone Girl meets P-Valley. Now, I have watched the movie for Gone Girl. I have not watched the show P-Valley. I don't even know where that's streaming at, but I do know what P-Valley is. So I was curious on what the story was going to be about. So in this one, we're following these exotic dancers. The main one that we're following is Lyric, which I think is her stage name, but she works at a place called Boomtown, and she just hired a new dancer by the name of Charm. After Charm has been working there for a few days, she goes missing. Someone comes up to the club looking for her, and so that sparks Lyric to really realize that, oh, maybe this girl really is missing, and her boss essentially forces her to figure out what happened to this girl, especially when they found out that she is underage and shouldn't even be working for the club anyway. Then we get these flashback chapters. I do not remember the name. The flashback chapters are from a dancer called Lucky. Lucky and Lyric used to work with each other in the past, but at some point Lucky had went missing. And so the story basically is trying to figure out what happened to Charm and how that kind of ties into what happened to Lucky in the past. I thought this was okay. This kind of is like the last book that I talked about where I wasn't necessarily fully drawn in. I definitely like the setting that it takes place, you know, in the strip club vibe, and that we're following these exotic dancers. But like outside of that, nothing about the mystery really intrigued me all that much. And if you are a mystery reader, like if that is your genre, if you have read a lot of mysteries, nothing about this is going to shock you. I think very early on, you will be able to kind of figure out probably what happened. Another thing in here that didn't really sit well with me was how the author used the character names, because we get their stage names and their real names, and then the author uses them like interchangeably. So sometimes I would forget who was who, because we would use their stage name and then a little while later we're using their real names. And honestly, I got confused until like later on in the book when I finally was able to associate who was who. 3 stars honestly might be a little generous, but like I didn't necessarily hate this book. I didn't love it. I think going into it, I just expected a lot more. But if you are familiar with Nick Stone, if you have read their books in the past, then I would say check this out if you're interested. Another book that I rated 3 stars, this is The Crash by Frida McFadden. Now, honestly, after seeing some of the reviews for this book, I thought I was gonna hate it. I didn't hate it. I didn't actually love it, but I was entertained. And I think after reading a few of Frida McFadden's books at this point, I'm entertained. Okay, these are those like popcorn thrillers. This is a adult thriller. So in this one, we are following our main character, Tegan. Tegan is heavily pregnant, as in she could give birth at any moment. So a situation happens. She decides that she is going to travel to her brother, but while she's traveling, a snowstorm hits. She crashes the car. This big hulky guy comes and essentially saves her and brings her to his house, where him and his wife have decided to let her stay there until the storm passes. However, not all is as it seems while Tegan is with this couple, and things kind of happen from there. This does the classic Frida McFadden storytelling where like the first half of the book we're following one character, then it kind of like switches, and then we're following another character and kind of like getting their perspective up to a certain point, and then like everything kind of like ties together. I thought this was a fun time. I did read this while Charlotte was going through a record like snowfall. So I think I was kind of like in the mood for this like wintry snowstorm setting. And I just had a fun time with this one. I didn't necessarily guess where it was going. I wasn't trying to guess. This was a vibe read and I was entertained. I enjoyed it for what it was. So the next book that I have here is The Long Shot by Kennedy Ryan. This is the first book in her Hoop series. So I'm pretty sure everybody is familiar with Kennedy Ryan. If you are not, her latest series that came out, forgot the name of the series, but the first book in that series is Before I Let Go. Very, very, very popular book. So I kind of wanted to go back and read some of her older stuff. So I started with this series. I was not prepared. I hesitantly want to say this is an adult romance. This is a very heavy book that I was not prepared for. I had heard people say that it's very heavy, it's kind of dark, but I still was not prepared for how heavy and dark this story is. So in this one, we're following two main characters. I think it's Isis and is it Isis? Iris. Her name is Iris. And we're following August. And we follow them as they like meet at a bar. They are about to graduate from college. Iris is dating a basketball player. August is also a basketball player. And they kind of hit it off. But over the years, they kind of get like separated. And we find out that Iris is actually dating the rival of August. Over the years, like August, he gets drafted into the NBA. So does Iris's boyfriend. But then we really start to get into Iris's relationship with her boyfriend. Their relationship is not great. She ends up getting pregnant and she has to sacrifice a lot of things. And in this relationship, there is a lot of domestic violence. And if that is not something that you are interested in reading, I would say do not pick up this book. Now, it's very graphic. It's very detailed. It's more graphic and detailed than anything that I think that I have read thus far as it relates to domestic violence. So please, 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 please make sure you check the trigger warnings. Now, while she's going through what she's going through with her boyfriend, she also has a few run-ins with August and they still have this connection. And it's basically us watching Iris as she navigates her time in this relationship and as a romance kind of blossoms between her and August. I rated this one 4 stars. I did not think that I was going to rate this one 4 stars. I honestly didn't even think that I was going to be able to finish because it was so hard to read like the first half of this story. But as the story progressed and we got to know Iris as a character, I really enjoyed her. I enjoyed seeing her come through the things that she went through in this relationship. I actually enjoyed her and August's relationship and how that blossomed over the course of the story and how basically organic it was. Now, I will say, it did feel kind of insta-lovey because they only met once at that bar and it was like, oh my gosh, I have all these feelings for this person I only met once, sure. But outside of that, as it progressed, I really did come to enjoy both of those characters. This probably would have been a 5-star read for me if I did not feel like the first half was so difficult. And I kind of think that was Kennedy Ryan's point. She wanted to give a realistic view of what some people deal with in their relationships. And whoa, this was tough to read. Also, I do want to mention, I listened to this on audio, would not recommend. I did not really care for the voice actor for Iris. I have listened to the actor before in other stories, and I did not realize that that is who that was. So if you want to check out this series, if this is a topic that you can handle, I really think you should check out the first book in the series. But I would say maybe steer clear of the audiobook, but that might just be a personal preference. But yeah, I did give this one 4 stars, and hopefully I will be able to start book 2 soon. Next up, another 4-star read read and one of my anticipated reads for the year. This is The Fairweather Friends by Jessie Garcia. This is a adult, I would say like mystery thriller. And so last year, I read The Business Trip by this author, and I want to say that was their debut novel, and I gave that one 3 stars. I really liked how the story was told. The ending just kind of fell apart for me. However, that did not deter me from this author, and I'm so happy that I picked this one up. So this book is about this really popular weather news anchor lady called Faith Richards. Yes, Faith Richards. And everybody really likes her. Like, she is just a delight on the television. Well, she is found dead. And so the story kind of takes off from there, where we're following all of these different characters that are in some way a part of Faith's life. Like, we're following fans of hers who are part of like this fan club. We're following like stalkers, fanatics of hers. We're following some of her old friends. We're following like an intern that worked for her. We're also following another coworker of hers. So we're following all of these people. So there are a lot of characters. There are a lot of POV switches, which is something I really enjoyed in the last book. And it is something that I really enjoyed in this one. And basically, people are trying to figure out what really happened to Faith, and then you kind of figure out how all of these people are kind of connected in some way, like involved in her death. I absolutely love the storytelling for this one. And the reason why I gave this one 4 stars over the last book I read from this author is because I liked how this ended. I liked how it concluded. I wasn't necessarily shocked, I think, by anything, because I kind of had a feeling that that was where the story was going to go. But I just liked how it wrapped up. It is so much better than how The Business Trip wrapped up. The one thing that I really liked about this story were all of the other characters and how they all felt different. Even though there's a lot of them, they're all different. And I think it's easy to distinguish them from one another. They all brought something different, and you all got a different picture of who this main character, Faith, is. Really enjoyed this one. I would definitely say check this out. If you have not checked out anything by this author, this will be a good place to start. My last 4-star read, and I believe this is a debut, and it is Here Lies All the Boys Who Broke My Heart by Emma Simmerman. This is a adult thriller, I think, and I got this from NetGalley. This is one of the ones, I wasn't really sure how I was going to feel about it, but this was a pleasant surprise. So in this one, we're following this character named Sloan. Now, I will say, anytime I have read a book where the main character's name is Sloan, we are in for a time. So we are following our main character, Sloan. And Sloan is in her last year of college, but she is like a wild child. She almost didn't make it to her last year of college because she's had DUIs. She likes to go out and drink and party. And basically her parents are on their last leg with her. And they're like, look, you need to get your shit together. And so she kind of does. So we're following Sloan, and she finds out that this guy that she used to date way back when passed away. And the funny thing about that, well, I guess it's not funny. It's kind of funny. But the funny thing with that is that she, after they stopped dating, she wrote a eulogy. And then we come to find out that every person that she no longer dates anymore, she writes a eulogy for them in her journal. And so what starts to happen is more of her exes show up dead. And at the scene of the crime is her journal page of their eulogy. So of course, Sloan is suspected of committing these murders. She ends up linking up with this guy that she doesn't really like, Asher. And they kind of like strike up this deal, and he agrees to help her if she agrees to help him get something that he really wants. And so they work together to figure out who is trying to frame her for these murders. This book is actually kind of ridiculous, but I absolutely loved these eulogies because we actually got to read the eulogies that that were left behind at these crime scenes, and they were kind of hilarious. And I will say, there is a love triangle that develops throughout the story. and I'm not sure how people are going to feel about it. I know people are really iffy about love triangles anyways, but I do feel like at a certain point, the romance in the story kind of overpowers the mystery that we're supposed to be following. And so that is actually something that kind of prevented me from giving this one 5 stars, because while I liked the mystery and while I was invested in this love triangle that was developing, I kind of wish there was like a better balance between the two, because at a certain point I forgot that we were supposed to be trying to figure out who's committing these murders, because the romance was like overpowering the story. I also didn't really care for like the ending. It was kind of open-ended, and those are like a hit or miss for me. Sometimes they work for me, sometimes they don't. This one I'm kind of like up in the air about, but outside of those things, I had a fun time with this one. I really enjoyed the main character, Sloane. If you guys have not heard of this book, I suggest you pick it up. If it sounds like it's going to be your thing, I had a fun time with this one. Now, we are moving into my 5-star reads. And like I said in the beginning, I have 2 of them. Really enjoyed these. So the first one that I want to talk about is The Other Mistress by Shanora Williams. This is a like adult mystery, suspense, psychological story. It's got a lot. There's a lot happening in this one. And I was really excited to pick this one up because you guys know this year I got a couple of books from Shanora Williams. I read something from her last year that I really enjoyed, so I wanted to pick up more. So I started with this one. So in this one, I forget her name. We are following our main character, Adira. Adira is doing great for herself. She is a businesswoman. She's wealthy. She lives in a nice house, has a nice car, amazing job, and she's married. I don't remember her husband's name. Gabriel. She's married to Gabriel. However, she actually catches Gabriel cheating on her, actually kissing another woman in front of her. Well, they don't know it, but she can see it. And of course, this leaves Adira devastated. So then she takes it upon herself to do what I think a lot of women would do, and she reaches out to this mistress. And so she lets the mistress know that she knows that, I know you're messing with my husband, and the mistress confirms it. So then Adira wants to meet up with this mistress and get some answers. She meets up with the mistress, tells her what she found out, and the mistress was like, that wasn't me. That had to be somebody else. And so they come to the conclusion that Gabriel has yet another mistress. And so Adira really wants to stay with him because she wants to start a family with this man. Yuck. But she and this mistress, Jocelyn, they decide to work together to try and get Gabriel to leave the other mistress. And the story just takes off from there. This is a type of foolishness that I love to read about. Okay? Nothing but foolishness. I really tried to be there for Adira, but I didn't understand why she would want to be with this man. It makes sense later. I don't want to say too much, and I can't really say too much without spoiling it, but I had a fun time with this one. This was a wild ride. Now, it was to my surprise, after I finished this, and I was about to go write my 5-star glowing review, that a lot of people didn't like this. On Goodreads, it has like a 3.5 rating. So I'm going to assume, especially based off some of the reviews that I saw, the ending may or may not work for some people. I will say it was kind of a slow build to the end, because the whole time I'm sitting here thinking like, what's the point of this? Like, what are we doing? Why does she want to stay with this man? And I was flabbergasted by the end of this. And I think some people said they were able to guess it. Some people just weren't impressed by it. I loved it. If it sounds good to you, pick it up. Don't read those. Don't read the reviews. Just go in blind and see how you like it, because I ended up loving it. I hope you love it too if you decide to pick it up. The last 5-star read that I have for you that was also a surprise. This is another one that I received an ARC from NetGalley. This is The Better Mother by Jennifer Vanderkloot. is how we're gonna pronounce her last name. Sorry if I got it wrong. But this is another adult, like, suspenseful thriller. Okay, so in this one, we are following our main character, Savannah. And Savannah just got out of a long-term relationship. Like, she's devastated. Devastated to the point that she went into like a depression. She lost her job. I think she had to like move home. Listen, Savannah was going through it. Then she finally picked herself back up. She started kind of dating this guy. Wasn't anything serious. They broke it off. Soon as they broke it off, she finds out that she's pregnant. She reaches out to the guy. I don't even remember his name. It's not important. Well, it's important. Well, I don't remember his name. So she ends up reaching out to the guy. She tells him that she's pregnant. Of course, he's shocked and surprised because he actually just got back with his ex-girlfriend. And his ex-girlfriend is Madison. So he's like, you know, I want to be there. I want to help you take care of the baby. But I do have to tell my ex-girlfriend. Cool, cool, cool. So he comes back later and it's like, oh my gosh, Savannah, I can't wait to be a father. And my girlfriend, Madison, wants to also be involved. Savannah is a little taken aback, as was I, because that's weird. Okay. So they kind of like get together. They meet each other. Madison seems to be cool in the beginning, but then things take a turn. And while Savannah is trying to figure out, you know, how she's going to raise this baby, even though the guy says that he wants to help, she's essentially going to be a single mom. And, you know, she's having all these feelings that mothers typically go through. And Madison is like inserting herself. She is trying to be too helpful and it's coming off kind of aggressive, and things just take a turn from there. This is another book where I'm like, all of the mess that took place in here, I am here for it. Savannah is such an infuriating character because she was taking too long to figure out what Madison's intentions were. But you know what? I was here. I was here for how naive she was. This book was so hard to put down. So much was happening. I felt myself progressively getting angry. I'm more angry than Savannah is, okay? I am more angry than our main character. The ending, so like the last third of the book is super duper fast paced. So much is going on. This book takes a turn that I was not expecting. I loved it. I have not heard anybody talk about this book yet. It is a newer release. I think it was released back in January, but I do hope people pick this up because I think it is a good time. I don't think you should go into the story that serious. Just read it for the vibes. Just be here, just go with the flow. I do think it is a very, very entertaining story. You will not be bored. The pacing is super fast. A lot is going on at all times. Definitely pick this up. This one definitely deserves 5 stars for sure. Those are all of the books that I was able to get through in February. If you guys have read any of these, please let me know your thoughts down below. But I will see you guys next time. Bye.